Good morning and welcome to the Say No Hate Coalition press conference regarding recent events at OU, at one of our fraternities. This morning we stand with President Morin for his decisive decisions, but as community leaders, we feel like there needs to be a response from the leadership of Tulsa. And so this morning we've invited these individuals to give us their comments and their thoughts about where we go from here, possibly how they think we might have got here, and in this present situation, what we need to do to improve living together in a place that welcomes and is inclusive of everybody. So I will introduce these individuals, and I will ask that before they speak, they'll give their name and who they're representing, okay? In case I butcher some of your names. So thank you very much for being here this morning. At this time, I would like for Chief Chuck Jordan of the Tulsa Police Department to open our remarks.
Chuck Jordan, Tulsa Police Department. Thank you all very much for coming. I think this has been somewhat of a threshold moment for Oklahoma. What we saw on that bus is not representative of our community, not representative of our state. What we didn't see on that bus was anybody condemning those acts. And you can bet somebody on there was repulsed by it, somebody was horrified by it, but they didn't speak up. And I think we all need to recognize we can't legislate hate-filled speech. That has to be done culturally through condemnation of our peers, condemnation of our family. The bottom line is, if we won't say it in private, we sure won't say it in public or feel it. And I think we all have to take responsibility when we hear those kinds of remarks, we hear those kind of hate-filled speech, or even lesser degrading speech. We need to condemn that among our peers, among our family, any place we see it, because that's what our community in Oklahoma is about, is respecting others. Thank you.
Rebecca Mark Jimerson with the Oklahoma NAACP and the Martin Luther King Commemorative Society and the Human Rights Commission.
Rebecca Marks Jimerson, the state NAACP, the local NAACP, the Martin Luther King Commemoration Society, and the Human Rights Commission. On behalf of the president of the state NAACP, hate to one is a hate to all, and we stand to unify not only the nation, but the state, the city of Tulsa. We are about unity. We are not about dividing. And so we stand on those precepts that it was out of ignorance, but so we continue to educate, Thank you.
Cheryl Siddiqui with the Islamic Council of Oklahoma.
My name is Cheryl Siddiqui. I'm with the Islamic Council of Oklahoma, our statewide council of mosques and Islamic organizations. The Muslims of Oklahoma stand with the University of Oklahoma, the students, faculty, and the staff, and everyone involved out there who's going through this course correction. Something happened. One person put a video public so that we could all have this moment to go through the process of dialogue. None of us knows all religions. No one of us is of all races. No one of us knows the history of the world. So we don't know the words that hurt. But when we do, we are responsible. And we are responsible to speak, whether we're among friends or people we don't know well, and that takes courage. And to have that, through that courage, we will have the community healing, and that's what the Muslims of Oklahoma are hoping for and praying for the people out at OU today.
Debra Diamond with the Jewish Federation.
Hi, good morning. I'm Debra Diamond with the Jewish Federation. We're here under the auspices of our Say No to Hate Coalition, and those of us for the last over 25 years as part of this coalition have recognized that hate speech has dimensions to it. It has two things. It usually has vile, descriptive language, and it also is filled with violent language. And part of what I'd like to do today with us is to remind us, particularly leadership, our leadership here gets it, our legislators, I think, need to listen to us and say, listen, your language, you know, when leadership language becomes disrespectful and ugly, it leads to disrespect and to violence. And so it's an important lesson out of what a handful of students do at OU, and we saw the reaction, which was more than appropriate in terms of the university, in terms of the national leadership of the fraternity, but it's also our turn to react in terms of reminding us that language has consequences. And for a peaceful society, language has to be, discourse has to be civil and respectful, and that's what we're seeking here today. Thank you.
Jamie Cox with the Oklahoma Center for Community Justice.
Hi. Hi, can you hear me? Yes. Oklahoma Center for Community and Justice fights bias, bigotry, and racism every day. It's our full-time job, and we are appalled by this incident. However, I'm grateful for the courage that some young person had to put this out there, because it gives us the opportunity, while we look silly in Oklahoma, it gives us the opportunity to have this conversation. And it's a conversation that we need to have. What I'd like to see come out of this is all the sane and civil people in Oklahoma come out and support, not just the people here and the people that I work with every day, but I can't say a lot more than these people have said, but I challenge you that when you see anything like this to happen, to please stand up, please challenge someone who makes a remark. It's not easy, but it's what we all need to do. And to that end, I understand that there's a march being planned. I don't have all the details. Loosely, I've heard that it's Thursday afternoon at 5 o'clock downtown. And I would like to invite you to check our website, occjok.org, because we will have all the details on that, and I know that the great press here will publicize it greatly. I would love to see a huge amount of people be out for that march to support this cause. Thanks.
This time, Jordan Mazza, thank you for his patience. He's with Dream Act Oklahoma.
My name is Jordan Mazariegos, and I am a member of Dream Act Oklahoma, Tulsa. As a college Hispanic student who grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I am amazed by what was said, and it really gets to me from what is seen. At the same time, I'm happy to see someone with courage to post this and let it be known. If it wasn't for this video uploaded, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. Even though things like this may happen, you know, just about, or maybe every day here and everywhere, anywhere. I would like to see more of those. I would like to see more courage from other people, from minorities, from everybody to speak up against this and stand up for say no to hate. As Oklahoma becomes more diversified and more people of color come and join us, I would like to see that change. I would not like to see Oklahoma be recognized or be seen by the world as one who does not welcome immigrants, people of color, or anyone who is not white. Thank you very much.
Mana Tahai with the YWCA.
Good morning. My name is Mana Tahai, and I serve as the Director of Mission Impact at the YWCA in Tulsa. At the YWCA, our mission is eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. Here in Tulsa, we focus on closing racial and gender disparities in wellness, wealth, and education. And my remarks for this morning will be available on our website at ywcatulsa.org. Because of the work that we do each day at the YWCA to advance racial justice, the news of this video on Sunday did not surprise us, unfortunately. But like many of you, we were outraged. What did surprise us, though, was President Boren's quick and decisive action, for which we are deeply grateful. The leadership at OU has demonstrated that they have the courage of their convictions, and we applaud them for responding unequivocally. But let's not forget some important points. First, condemnation cannot be the only response. These behaviors do not occur in a vacuum. It's important to condemn racist behaviors like those captured on the video, as much as it is to build a climate that doesn't enable these attitudes to grow in the first place. Each day we can challenge ourselves to create cultures of inclusion and equity in our own spaces, from our families to our campuses to our places of work and play. Second, let's remember that teachable moments often come at the expense of people who are already at the margins. These voices should be at the center of our response. These communities are who we need to be accountable to. These people should be leading our efforts for equity with the unwavering backing of the allies in the movement. Third, it's crucial that this incident spur a sustained dialogue about race in Oklahoma. This will be difficult, but we can't look away. Let's not let these young men become the scapegoats. Isolating them doesn't mean this is an isolated problem. The 21st century challenge of racism calls on us to resist being colorblind, which too often obscures or even erases the plight of people of color. We call on ourselves and our partners to instead become race conscious, aware of the implications that race continues to have on our schools, our economy, our media, our justice system, and all the other institutions we navigate on a daily basis. Fourth, let's not forget that today's college students, while young now, are tomorrow's hiring managers, judges, legislators, bankers, CEOs, and other people wielding incredible authority who can either maintain or dismantle inequality. Given the massive disparities that we see in Oklahoma in health, wealth, education, incarceration, and other social indicators, we have to remember that racism in 2015 isn't simply slurs lobbed at one another, but the ways in which the lives of people of color are materially impacted by the attitudes and policies of the people and systems we navigate all the time. These are the catastrophic issues we must invest our attention in, even as they're complex and challenging. So our challenge now is to harness the outrage into something sustained and productive. We trust that OU will take that kind of leadership, and we hope that the rest of us do the same in our own spaces. Thank you.
Jim Langdon with Langdon Publishing, representing Mosaic, the Tulsa Metro Chambers Diversity Inclusion Council.
Thank you, Toby. I'm proud to stand here today with you. As Toby mentioned, I'm the past chair of Mosaic, which is the Tulsa Regional Chambers Diversity and Inclusion Council. We advocate diversity in the marketplace and in the workplace, creating positive work cultures for all and understanding the differences that we share in our race, religions, our cultures, and as men and women. I'm a product of the University of Oklahoma. I'm a product of the Greek system at the University of Oklahoma. It was disgraceful what was sung in that chant, but I know and believe in my heart that those individuals who now are so remorseful understand what they did that night and how hurtful those words were and how embarrassing it was, not only for the university and for the Greek system, but for all of us in Oklahoma and all of us in this nation. It's words that hurt. It's laughing at a joke. It's laughing at a comment about someone who's different than we are that leads to this kind of behavior. And it's time that it stopped. We're good people in Oklahoma. Most of us were appalled at those words and the setting. And I believe that better days are ahead for Oklahoma. I think, as President Boren said, this is a learning moment. It's a learning moment for those young men who were on that bus. It's a learning moment for all of us to conduct ourselves in better ways and to think about words and how hurtful they can be to others. Thank you.
Reverend Bob Lawrence with the Tulsa Interfaith Alliance.
I'm Reverend Bob Lawrence with the Tulsa Interfaith Alliance. And the Tulsa Interfaith Alliance stands with our partners in the Say No to Hate Coalition in condemning the recent actions of some members of the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity at the University of Oklahoma. We appreciate the quick and appropriate response of University President David Boren in holding accountable those who participated in this incident, and in making it very clear that such language and action are inappropriate and will not be tolerated. Like many Oklahomans, we have found ourselves wondering where and how these students, those with whom our future rests, ever learned that such behavior was appropriate. Our response must do more than simply condemn the actions of those who behaved in such a fashion. It must also condemn the actions of those in positions of authority who, through their own example, have allowed a culture of racism, religious-based hatred, and homophobia to exist in Oklahoma. In particular, we wish to shine a light on the actions of the legislature of this state, which is currently debating almost a dozen different bills that are meant to write intolerance, bigotry, and hatred into law in Oklahoma. The Tulsa Interfaith Alliance wishes to condemn, in clear and unequivocal language, the actions of our elected leaders who teach our students that hating another is not only okay, but it is a great way to be elected to public office. If the members of the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity had replaced the language they used so that it was a violently homophobic or anti-Islamic chant, would the response of the leaders of this state have been the same? Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King once wrote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere," and the legislature of this state is providing proof. At a time when our legislators are debating and approving bills with only one purpose, to make unjust treatment of homosexuals the law of this state, it cannot be coincidental that the young people of this state are chanting hatred. When our own elected leaders use offensive language and imagery to describe the members of a particular faith tradition, we should not be surprised that the students of this state find humor in the language of hatred. Just as we condemn the actions of the members of this fraternity who thought it was okay to organize and participate in a chant meant to dehumanize another, the Tulsa Interfaith Alliance also condemns, in equally strong language, the actions of the legislature of the state of Oklahoma for passing legislation and making public statements that are meant to dehumanize another. If our current generation of leaders does not reflect compassion and respect for others, how can we expect the next generation of leaders to behave differently?
Wachowski with the United Campus Ministry at the University of Tulsa.
Hi, my name is Jenny Wachowski, and I'm the Executive Director of United Campus Ministry at the University of Tulsa. At the university this week, the Association of Black Collegians spearheaded a group bringing together Greek leadership and interested student leaders from our social justice groups at United Campus Ministry. The Association of Black Collegians brought these groups together to address exclusion and racism where it exists within the TU community. It is my hope and my prayer that we will use this moment of overt racism at OU to catalyze energy within the TU community, to create a more inclusive, respectful, and just community. That we will learn to identify and intervene against systemic and unintentional learned racism where it exists within our community, and that we will learn to see all injustice as interconnected. That racism is a threat to LGBTQ justice, it is a threat to environmental justice, and it is a threat to women's justice and to the well-being of us all. It is my hope that the actions of these phenomenal student leaders will help Tulsa to be proactive about recognizing injustice, whether covert or overt, within our city and our state. Thank you.
Reverend Ray Hickman with the Tulsa Metropolitan Ministries.
The events of recent experience at OU signify a problem in our state where we have individuals who are student leaders who are unable to understand that they are part of a community of people that represent many faiths, many traditions, many cultures, many backgrounds, and that it's important for all of us from all of those traditions and backgrounds and cultures and perspectives to learn to work, live, and interact with one another in a positive context. But they are only examples of some recent bias, prejudice, hatred that have come from other leaders in our state. Elected leaders, persons who represent all of Oklahoma, not just a small segment of those people who are like them. It's important for leaders to lead all people in positive paths, to represent all people, regardless of color or culture or faith tradition, and respect those who may be different. But at the same time, bring people together and lead those people into a better life, into a better understanding of what it means to be a community. What happened at OU is a tragedy. But what happens in our state capitol, what happens when representatives from different parts of our state put down and disrespect others who are people of faith, people of color, people of gender identity, that's also just as wrong, just as hateful, just as disrespectful. Our leaders need to be leaders for everyone.
Reverend Chris Moore, Fellowship Congregational.
My name is Chris Moore, and I'm the senior pastor at Fellowship Congregational United Church of Christ here in Tulsa. As a faith leader in this community, I am tasked with thinking theologically about events like this, and from my faith tradition, we have a term that is called repentance. Repentance literally means in Greek to turn around, to change direction from the direction that you are going and to do something different. So I join with my colleagues in support of the quick and decisive action that happened at the University of Oklahoma, as well as the condemnation of this particular incident. I also join with them in saying that if we let this be a single incident, if we engage in the very tempting act of scapegoating, where we place all of our sin, all of our participation onto the backs of these young people who made a very foolish decision, we have missed an opportunity for us to engage in the kind of conversation that we need to have. We've missed an opportunity for us to turn around within our institutions, within our state, within our families, and most importantly, within our own hearts, where all of this begins. It's important for us to look at legislation. It's important for us to look at the way that we structure our institutions, but it begins, my friends, right here with us. If we are not seeking ourselves in our own lives, chances for us to encounter the other, and there are numerous others, whatever other means to you, we're missing an opportunity to do the very work that would begin to change this in our world.
And finally, Dr. Bill Crowell of Boston Avenue United Methodist Church.
Bill Crowell, I'm one of the associate ministers at Boston Avenue Church. I think by the show of support today, by the friends and colleagues that are standing around me, we are showing Tulsa that when hatred remarks are made to just a small group of our community, it happens to every one of us. And so we stand here saying that we wish to continue the hard work of working together, of being in relationship with one another, and asking all of Tulsa and all of Oklahoma to do the same, to show up for events like this, when there are marches, all of these. And I reach out to the Christian community especially too for your support and to stand up and to speak about this in your congregations and in all faith communities. This kind of injustice affects every one of us. Thanks so much.
I'm Toby Jenkins, Executive Director of Oklahomans for Equality, and we are very honored to be a part of the Say No to Hate Coalition, which has been together almost 30 years. It came together in response to racist events. This comment with you, I was yesterday talking to some individuals, and they said, well, we don't have these kind of problems. Where did these students learn that this was acceptable? And my question to you, have you asked a black person if we have these problems? I'm not black, so I am blind to what's happening around me because it's not impacting me personally. But you ask your African American neighbors, ask the African American family members associated with you, ask those people that you work with and go to church with, and they will tell you this is always underneath the surface, and we've got to kill it now in this generation, or the next generation will continue to see this kind of attitude. Tulsa says no to hate in every form, in every platform, from the outhouse to the White House. We say no to hate. Thank you for being here, and these individuals will be available for private comments. Thank you for being here.